to turn my microphone on. These and other hurdles that we will meet over the course of the reading. This is going to be big fun. Right before asking to see if we could get Kinsale Drake to read on this panel, I had been sent a pile of their work. And it's so good. And I'm just going to let that happen for you.
Hi everyone. Yat Kinsale Drake nishe. Nat od an etchachina nishle bilagana bashishchi. Ashihadasha che bilagana dashanele akut ego atsana nishle. Hi, my name is Kinsale Drake, and Kim is right. I did not expect to go first. But you know what? I had a panel this morning, and I'm ready, because at that panel, I wasn't even awake yet. And now I'm awake. I wrote a book called The Sky Was Once a Dark Blanket. I'm Diné. My family's from the Four Corners, but I grew up between Utah and California, and mostly Southern California, though my siblings did both go to school in the Bay Area, so I'm very familiar with both, the Berkeley area and San Francisco, and I loved it here. I moved here after I graduated from college, and I studied zines. I literally have a zine on stage with me. That's how much I love it. Amber just gave me this new zine that one of our students made. And I was studying zines made by Native peoples in the 60s and 70s. And I still do a lot of zine work. So I work with Indian Girls Book Club. If you're interested in talking about organizing and getting free books out and things like that, I'm always so happy to talk about those things. But I'm here to read, maybe for just a few poems. And you'll hear from everyone. I've met almost everyone here, and I love them very dearly. So it is a treat to be here with them. And please donate to the Ohlone Land Trust, too, if you haven't already. They have a land tax set up, and they make it very easy. And they do a lot of good work, so please support them as well. I'm going to open with the poem August. And this collection is about music and water and creation stories, and we'll move through some of my favorite poems. August. And you can snap or you can clap, you can do whatever you want to do. August. My mother's soft instrument. I'm stomping at 11 a.m. on God's holiest day, my grandmother turning up her hands in something like protest, her face just softened by the rainbow of a smile. Oh joy, I overturn the sweet peas in the garden with my bare feet, instruments of disaster, instruments of my mother who used to sneak out to border towns and line dance with cowboys. We missed the days the rain fell on our foreheads and the kettle boiled over. When I want to call up the memory of these women, I sit with the familiar orchestra of scratched up CDs. Shh. Just there. The instruments of our own destructions and births, umbilical cords, planting season. I want to roll in the mud and be a mother. I want the seeds to two-step on my skin. Thank you. I always tell people to look up Mildred Bailey when I read from this book. I have a sibling who loved jazz and the blues, and Mildred Bailey was from the Coeur d'Alene Reservation, and she was like a jazz singer in New York City, and she was, playing music with all the folks from Harlem and people who were part of the Black diaspora into New York and the jazz scene. And she just has a beautiful voice. She sounds a lot like Ella Fitzgerald. Just a very clear, pretty, rivering voice. So I'm skipping all the poems about her, but I always tell people just look her up if you want to read a great story. This collection's about music, and there were two reasons I made it about music. And I'm sorry if you were at the panel earlier, because I'm going to tell the same story again, but there's two reasons, and one is my professor when I was in college, I went to Yale, and that's like, the English major at Yale. Was like the only Native person in that major for like the past 10 years, and like in the creative writing concentration. And my professor told me, Kinsale, you have really nice poems, but they're too musical. And I remember being like, okay, I was like, slay. I'm gonna write my whole first collection about music. And then secondly, the other reason was when people are asked, non-native people are asked, what is native music to you, or like they're bringing something up. Usually it's flute music or something very stereotypical, and a lot of that is because of anthropology. At the turn of the 20th century, there were the logics of containment happening, and people trying to put them on wax cylinder recordings, and all of this happening. So a lot of what we think of, or I say we, I mean like Americans, what Americans think of, is not what Native people consider to be Native music at all. And so I always, tell this joke about how the most Navajo person in this book is George Strait, because he comes up like 50 times. But if, you ask anyone back home, I'm like, Amber's right here. Amber literally has George Strait t-shirts. Like, you just, if you know. So this is a George Strait poem. This is a fun one. Theme for the nautical cowboy. My mother wouldn't let me go to the rodeo when I was younger, so I jet off with my girl and her truck to a George Strait song. It's in our cosmology to chase the tails of dogs over the horizon. The sky stretches, map of strange stars. I list the star signs of my exes, none of them from Texas. We cheers our Baja Blasts. Almost all sacred things are blue. Baby blue, baby blue. You joke you'll never date a white boy. Nay, you sing a love song to straight hair and nighttime eyes. The compass needle stays glued to the moon. I catch your eyes in every mirror. There was once a prehistoric ocean all around us, even whales. We puff out the great swimming shapes of their bodies. This layer of rock, trilobites. This layer, some ancient eel. How small we are. How funny. Massive fish ghosts vibrate to George Strait. Time is read backwards in the rock body, oldest to the top, magma pushing what's fresh to the surface. Your hand skims the deep blue sandstone, these long cooled shells, teardrop, turquoise sliver of horizon, the creeping river invisible in the dark. Here's to you, ancient and alive. The sky stretches, full of old and older ghosts, our once and forever waiting pool. Thank you.
So, I have a personal policy that no poetry reading should last longer than an hour and a half because people's butts get sleepy and don't want to keep sitting there. And they took that kind of thing really seriously at this one. So we have 45 minutes for 5 people, which is sort of exciting. So we're going to move on. But buy the book, because as you can see, this is really important stuff. I would also point out that they told Louise Erdrich that she had too many relatives in her book. So everybody's got a comment about what Native people should write about. Georgina Marie is a good friend and writes beautiful work and is the Poet Laureate of Lake County Emerita.
Thank you so much for being here, and to Kim for having me. Kim's a dear friend. And it's an honor to be on this panel with all of these authors. So I chose 6 poems. I might cut it down. We'll see. Yeah, I think I'll read 4. on things we cannot change. A woman at the library tells me this is not a place for politics. This comes after a list of words are banned from use by the federal government, but before libraries across the nation begin to lose federal funding. The banned words include woman, and Indigenous, and Latinx, and more I use to describe my identity. The federal funding provides resources for libraries to better support their communities, but this is no place for politics. I look around to make meaning of the toffee time wrappers on my desk, since it felt like a day to have chocolate for breakfast. Think about the sparkling blackberry juice left over in the fridge, and how the feeling of its fizziness on my tongue brings me into the present, and for a brief moment, I forget the sizzling of anger. The gods of ordinary living have placed upon my desk mango juice and too many books of poetry checked out from the library. But really they are tokens of enjoyment, of tangible survival tools to get through this thing called life, these libraries called sanctuaries. Thank you. I work for a library, so I'm biased. There's also not a lot of Indigenous people that work for libraries, unfortunately. This next poem is called My Mother as Deer. It's a fairly new poem, and I do want to read an epigraph. Native American boarding schools were established by the U.S. government as an effort to assimilate Indigenous youth into mainstream America culture through education. This era was part of the United States' overall attempt to kill, annihilate, or assimilate Indigenous peoples and eradicate Indigenous culture. There is little documented history of adult natives also institutionalized in the 1960s and 70s, or their treatment, inhumane or other. My mother as deer. Deer see headlights. They freeze. I ask God if my mother saw the institution coming, if God had the power to prevent it. My mother's mother moving through any blinding spotlight to reach a cage for her daughter, though not as a method for assimilation, but punishment, blaming her own daughter for causing her father's death, the alcohol consumption, the falling down, the crashing of his skull on boulders. In my imagined memory, I see my mother kicking and screaming, fighting her way away from the asylum doors. I remember there is no God for us. A winter night, my brother and I kept awake with long overdue conversations and ignored memory of our eldest sister driving past the now torn down hospital, unknowing why our mother was there. Only the words our father shared that our mother once left behind. I realize why our mother's eyes turn to melting mercury every time I suggest therapy. Her brown skin, her high cheekbones, her propensity to be easily knocked over, a newborn fawn struggling to walk for the first time. I can only imagine her being an easy target, her mother driving the family car straight toward her, headlights bright as the sun, her mother holding the crossbow, the institutions held the gravestones. Thank you. So I'll read two more. Erasure for my end times. I'm tired of being erased, as in rainbow sidewalk chalk after a long awaited rain, as in girth of a sage bundle after overuse, trying to ward off 1,000 bad spirits, as in I can remember his pants down before I could grant consent, but no one wants to hear about it, as in an attempt at healing with flower essences dissolving on my tongue, as in quick written poem that may go nowhere, as in Texas won't teach my people's history, but no one wants to hear about it, as in you people make everything about race, as in I can speak eloquently so I couldn't be brown, as in the partial animal skull I found by the creek bed, as in iris twilight bruising from the back of a hand but straight to the heart, as in you can't pronounce my last name so I've erased it myself, as in melancholy blue of dusk fading, as in my heart is not in this, as in am I worthy, as in my voice is getting quieter, as in can you even hear me now? Thank you. And this last poem, it's kind of a Lake County poem. Is anyone familiar with Lake County? Couple. Oh, Linda, hi. So if you're not aware of the Bloody Island Massacre, it's worth getting familiar with. It took place in Lake County long ago. On joy and its impossibilities. When the autumn sun touched down tonight over Clear Lake, the sky fed us a light show of muted blues and pastel grays, tones of gold and bronze that sent a reminder there is something always bigger than us, than elections, than another sign of hate on the horizon. Cloud forms bulged over Mount Canocti with no connection or reference to the battles once fought on this land, the erasure of a people. Their blood still makes an entire island here. Joy is impossible some days, as treacherous a task as counting the number of bullets sprayed during the last mass shooting and until the next. They say you mustn't suffer over the suffering, but there's so much of it. To find joy, I have to focus on the blinking lights on lampposts across the street to keep from considering which war to fight tomorrow. This rumination will be fleeting. I will be poised, though to shatter is just as acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. This isn't a book yet. Do we know when it's going to be a book? Also, we've been joined by somebody that I almost just introduced as a legend, except that the last time somebody said that about me, I asked, you mean like Bigfoot and mermaids? Anyway, our next reader is Denise Lowe, who is a really good friend and the Poet Laureate of Kansas, Emerita. So.
Thank you. And as Kim said, it's hard to have Native people introduce themselves because Kim herself is the Emerita San Francisco Poet Laureate. She is distinguished in so many ways, has beautiful books, and she is recently published. Okay, I'm enjoying this, Kim. Dear, and I would like you to read a poem from it.
I'm going to be really brief. Going to be really brief because 45 minutes is short. Okay. Elder doe carves the hillside neat, the rubbing stone, carves with the passage of her days. She knows both growing aches in her rear left hip and stories that say where the water, where it travels, where the local mint, the sweetest roses. Elder doe folds birds out of her own growing wildness, and in a burst of joy, dances the spirals of a well-spent year. Gee, who published this? There's another name on this cover, which would be Denise Lowe, and it was published by Mammoth Publications. So,
yeah, it's one of my side hustles. Poets have many of those, you young ones. Just wait, you'll find yourself in covers of magazines and spreads and so forth, yeah. I just realized there were a lot of poems about deer that were shared between Kim and myself, and this is Ode to Deer. Hooves beat against the gate, eyes open, our golden irises trap dawns bright. How effortlessly you move in memory, a riddle with no answer. I go deer hunting, the rifle smells of oil, underfoot the woods crunch. Springtime foods are red roses and jasmine. In autumn, swaths of acorns disappear. A sister-in-law cooks tender backstrap and hull corn. Communion remains on my tongue. Beneath juniper spikes, A fawn sleeps alone, neighborhood children hush quiet. You step along the stream, shifting heft of prongs. I recall this for years. And I'd like to read from a new book, House of Grace, House of Blood, that Amber and I share a press, and we're very happy for that. And I have Delaware or Lenape heritage on my grandfather's side, maternal grandfather's side. And it's such a complicated history. I'm grateful to all the folks who share that conflicted Algonquin and East Coast heritage, and many of whom are present today. So to just explain this, I wrote this poem, Acknowledgement of Lenape Lands. In Dawnland, through 5 centuries, Lenapes fight Spanish, Swedes, Dutch, English, and United States settlers. Bloodstained roads lead away from New Jersey, escape routes shared by Lenapes and runaway Africans. Blood memory stories mark murders at Dutch Pavonia, at Kakashton, at Gnadenhutten, where militia killed pacifist Lenape Christians. Blood passes through mothers and wombs to landless children, my mother, my grandfather, his parents, and theirs. Descendants live in Ramapo Mountains, Appalachians of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Canada, Wisconsin, Indiana, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Idaho. Lenape people are alive, hearts beating, streams of red blood. All the lands and waters where we continue, I acknowledge. I'm wanting to have this book, which is centered around a particular massacre during the genocide of Delaware peoples, but to move towards healing and how one of the things that so many scientists now are studying native ways of ecology, fire-controlled burns and so forth. And I think what they also need to study is cultural persistence, the way we continue to thrive and have community and family and spiritual lives. And so these are poems. I hope, it's a long book. I'm not going to read it all, although I could. But I'm just going to read a few. A river's witness. Lenape traders travel the Muskingum in dugouts purveying salt, furs, shells, and pearls. For centuries, their wooden barges carry full cargoes. Hunters and fighters use quick birch bark canoes. A Delaware elder tells me how missionaries taught writing, how paper treaties stayed safe in a wooden chest. But during removal west at a river crossing, the boat capsized. The water took all Lenape records. By the Little Muskingum, muddy brown as an elk's eye, the current swallows voices of both killers and of victims. Their echoes drown in the snowmelt torrent as the river's thunder rises to heaven. Ink washes into winter's flow, and also blood, traces never completely dissolved. Even now, as muscles pearl themselves colors of dawn glimmering on the river, all passings entangle into one. And I'm going to finish with one of the types of prayer that I want to feel is most important. Dance. This is Stomp Dance, Wyandotte County, Kansas. The lead man lifts his black hat and calls from the center. I wait for the tail end of the man-woman procession. Lead women are shell shakers. Double-time steps rustle turtle shell rattles tied to shins. Men sing and sing loud. Women step, step hard. The inner circle turns sideways to the fire. My grandfather and grandmother lived on Lenape land near this spot. Their footprints remain in this ground. The leader raises his arm for each new song. Men answer. Their breath lifts into the wind. I remember Josiah, what he said about tobacco. The headman offers it to fire. I remember the Foley family and their stomp ground near Copan. I remember Cherokees who danced, Redbird Smith's descendants, Crosland and Benny. Shush of shells mixes with songs older than the mounds. We all dance.
Hey, Amber, can you hold your book up? I carry this around with me sometimes, this book. Yeah.
Hello. Okay. I'll introduce myself. Yat eshe Amber Yanishe, Kitlachitni Nishle. Nakai dina Embeshachin, Shihi Dashache, Tetnazena Dashanella. So that's just who I am in Navajo, in case we have any Navajo relatives in the audience. Diné. I'm going to read 2 short poems and then another one. So this poem's called This. It's towards the end of the book. This is not a song. This is not a chant. This is a breath, a moment, a story, a telling of plants, growing under a sun, growing with the dirt they were given. It is a telling of companion plants, finding nutrient in one another, creating a soil rich for their seeds, for the next season, for the next harvest, a place to breathe, a place to shine, a place to home. This next poem is called Wounded Corn Still Grows. Weaving words with nostalgic tongues, heirloom futures in circular knowledge. Praxis to the mind, hajo himdak. Contact and exchange of Diné blue corn and Autumn white corn. Nourish the soul, hun nat'a. Planting Autumn melon and sending photos of the Sonoran January female rain. Bring me back to you, Nisea. And this one is called You Bring Out the Navajo in Me. After Sandra Cisneros' You Bring Out the Mexican in Me. You bring out the Navajo in me, sand waves bursting out of my skull. You bring out the fighter in me, jalapenos in your guac, ghost peppers sending a punch through your salsa, red cinnamon lace nights in me. You bring out the dancing flame in me, mountains of candles, melting like a sucker in the sun, slurping your heated heart. My tongue cannot wipe clean what it does not know. You bring out the love weight in me, bellies bumping in the shower. You bring out the kamad bod in me, the hardened leftover lard from fry bread feasts in me. Can't sleep naked in bed anymore. You bring out the Diné in me, conquered tongues and colonized lips, washboard res roads along my spine. You bring out the fool in me, hibiscus grin teeth stained from my ruby woo lipstick. Nevertheless, my love is not naive. I am also the hellraiser, the blasting glare, the mean, thin-lipped, cosmic cheek stare, fighting for the next day, next pay, or way, through roadblocks and never-ending rejections. I am the child mourning over mountains too tall for my dreams. I am the woman burdened and bare. I am the gash, gouging through skin, bursting to care for your seeds. I am the fool, tricked and naked, searching the night sky for light. A fool to lover, your throat takes me through tunnels of gasps, grounding me into deep, deep sublimity, surrounding me with saguaros, salt, and spikes for these wounds. It digs deep until my throat scratches into the brightest blood. Dear Shahart, oh, how you bring out the lover of life in me, drunk on George Strait love songs in me, dancing until my feet pop. You bring out the poverty in me, fighting for scraps without judgment in me. You bring out the hidden trauma in me, the condemned bulldozed boarding school dorms in me, the Spanish kidnapper in me, the exploiter in me, the broken treaties in me, the big words we don't understand in me, the stories the sea cannot wash away, the slippery shame we try to escape from street to street with our legs and our bodies. You bring out the days of sickness in me, stiff back, congested lungs, and tight sinuses in me, endless chronic suffering, spinning me through loops of pain. Oh, does my love suffer, Shahart, Shahosh, Shalover. You bring out the blue corn in me, leaving sapphire flour all over your kitchen counters, between your teeth and underneath your fingernails. The blue does not stain, but grits against your tongue. You bring out the yellow corn in me. I tap my tassels for you, sift polished pollen for your Tutadine bag. You bring out the strength in me, bodybuilder in me, res gym in me, buys and tries days in me, the after work protein shake in me. You bring out the Sani in me, making sure you're fed, crying if you're misled, the Shema that outlives all her sons, the always there in me. You bring out the generations in me, the sheep herder, the weaver, the changing woman, the first woman, the spider woman in me. You are the one I make bread for, brew Navajo tea for, pick out manly smelling candles for, and learn all about your favorite 80s wrestlers for. Let into my little home, lay my head on your lap for the first time, hold your hand until my stomach leaps oceans for, the one I blink my eyes for, to know this is not a dream, and if it were to be a dream, your sky soars with abalone clouds, sopped with the rain of your love tongue onto my shell. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So you may have noticed something about most of the readers on this panel. And you may be noticing something about our final reader. Our final reader is Stephen Meadows, who I've known for quite some time and been a fan of for longer still. And Stephen you're still the laureate?
What's that?
Are you still the laureate?
Just barely, yeah. Until July, I think it is.
Of
It ends to this July.
yeah, can you share your title? I'm forgetting your
Poet Laureate of El Dorado County.
Poet Laureate of El Dorado County at present. Stephen Meadows.
Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate it. You know what? I'm going to stand up because I prefer to do that.
I can be a Mike Stanton.
I just have a couple of poems, and since this image keeps coming up, it's called The Doe. Cresting the ridge at dawn in the dark, the engine of the 46 pickup, the lights on the road. She dives out of the brush. In my headlights is blind. Quivering in the dust, she cannot believe her death as men with knives lead her into the trees. And this one, I'm very happy to say, is on a bronze plaque in San Francisco. For the living. Standing high on this hillside, the wind off the Pacific forming the language of grasses and escarpment eternally speaking, the seabirds far out on their plains of air gather and squander what the short days encompass. We make what we can of what reason can give us. We take from these all too brief moments some reckoning of meaning, hoping as we hurtle haphazard through this storm of a cosmos to make some small imprint. While the birds in their white realm reeling over the tumbling green ocean, this plated earth gliding beneath us like a wind under shoulders, and the language we hear in the grass on this hillside is all of it mythic and wondrous as the goddess's dream. Thank you very much.
I seem to be making a tour through the various available microphones. Might as well enjoy everything the world has to offer, right? So I love and hate the idea of a land acknowledgement, and as a result, I generally do them last. We are on Lishan territory here. It's important to know what that means. That means that living in a place generationally will teach you things about that place that you can't learn any other way. It's not a complaint. It's not a request. It's just an acknowledgement that there are people here who have a better idea what's going on a daily basis than I might. And part of the reason I kind of liked the alphabetical arrangement was because, although not from this part of Ohlone territory, Stephen is Ohlone. So we are honoring the people who are here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you in order of the way we're sleeping, sitting, not sleeping. Can you tell it's been a long week? Can I just say, I have been here for 3 days straight. I have done 3 days of this. I am a hermit. I am over-peopled to the extent that you cannot believe. And I am going to go home and get into my bed like a dart. Let's try that again. Thank you. In the order we're sitting, Amber, Kinsale, Denise, Stephen and Georgina Marie. I am delighted to have been here. It's really fun that people do ask me to put together a reading that I want to hear. So I think it met my expectations for sure. Can we have another round of applause for our readers?